Thank you everyone for coming to our June community social. So we usually do a monthly community social, and we're thrilled that this month Jami and Sarah could both come on. So during they're going to talk in the beginning, and during it, if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We're going to save some time at the end for Q&A. So we do ask that for the beginning part, you guys mute yourself, but we'll definitely leave time for Q&A, and you can drop any of your questions in the chat. And then at the end of this, we will be drawing a winner to get a copy of both Sarah and Jami's book and a liner wand kit. So at the end of this, we will draw a winner. So I'll hand it over to you, Sarah, to kind of introduce yourself and introduce Jami.
Yeah, hello everyone. Happy Friday. It's so great to be here and to celebrate community as we head into the weekend. I am so very thrilled to have this chat with my very dear friend, Jami Marseilles, who many of you know, but I want to share a couple of brags about her before we dive into our conversation today. Jami is quite an accomplished athlete. I first connected with her when she joined the U.S. National or Paralympic track and field team in 1997. She was a world-class and world record holder in the 100-meter dash, 200-meter, and the 400-meter. She's also the first bilateral amputee female to run a marathon. She did that in Chicago in 2015, and then followed that up at the legendary Boston Marathon. And she's done countless half marathons in Toronto, Kona, Southern California, so many races that we've gotten to do together as well. She is a mom, a wife, author, athlete. She's also a school teacher, a mentor, nonprofit founder. So honored to share the Zoom stage with you today. Welcome, Jami Marseilles.
Thank you, Sarah. That was awesome. It's kind of fun to hear about yourself because you don't do it a lot. So I was like, oh, wow, that list is long. I'll take it. That was great. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm what a great way to, kick off community and talk about friendships and, how we met each other and we've sustained over all these years and all these different travels, different states, and, just really bringing it together and sharing the information about being an amputee and what it takes to thrive in that world.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you are one of my dearest friends, and but I know that I probably wouldn't have met you if I if you weren't an amputee. So why don't we start there? Like, how did you join the club? How did you become an amputee? How did this all happen?
Yeah, that's such a great way to say it. Because yeah, if we didn't belong in this club together, I don't know if we would have met. Probably not. Yeah, so I did things kind of a little backwards as I go through my journey, but I became an amputee at the age of 19. I was actually a college student and I was driving home from a ski trip with a girlfriend and we wound up taking a wrong turn and we were trapped in our car for 11 days. So by the time we were found on January 2nd, 1988, we had frostbite on all our extremities. Everything came back but my feet. So at 19 years old, they discussed amputation with me. I was confused, scared, never heard of it, didn't even know how to say prosthetic, and didn't know what to do, but they promised me if I agreed to this, I could get out of the hospital and go back to college and lead a somewhat normal life as a young 19-year-old.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. Like, I know your story well, but I'm always like, taken aback with 11 days trapped in your car, so yes. Surviving that. And then when you think about frostbite and, yeah. So the suffering that came with that, or just, enduring that for those 11 days and then coming on the other side of that, like, yeah, you've survived, but you've lost both your limbs. So that's was quite an adjustment, I'm sure, for you at 19 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. And, at 19, for me growing up, I was never athletic. That came afterwards, which is kind of a weird twist to my story. But I remember being in the hospital and my body was sick. I mean, there actually was an infection called gangrene that was attacking my feet. So when we decided to amputate, I had some really important questions for the doctors. If I agree to this, can I go back and dance? Because that was something I loved to do. Skiing, ironically, growing up in Arizona, I like to ski. People don't get it, but I'm like, I swear we can go to the mountains, there's snow. It's not just desert. And they said, yes. Can I wear high heels? Yes. Can I get married? I mean, all these questions that now I look back and I was so naive because I'd never met another amputee, or I didn't know how the prosthetics worked. And the doctors assured me I can do anything and everything I wanted to. And that's when I had to sign the paperwork as a young 19-year-old woman after this tragedy of, being trapped in this car for 11 days and then facing this about 2 weeks later within 10 days. But I knew that was the right decision for me. And I really never looked back. And I've had some funny things happen, fresh out of the hospital, I want boots. So we go to the store and my prosthetic foot gets stuck in a boot, so what do? You now travel with a shoehorn all the time, so that's just a little tip as an amputee you might not realize. But, all these things I've learned, and Sarah, you've taught me lots of fun little tips along the way. So it's been great.
Well, that's a big reason why I wanted to do this today, because, I think there have been so many tips and tricks that I've been able to share between you and I over the years that we've gotten to learn, where, I've got other friends and folks who aren't amputees. So I couldn't always get those little nuggets of insights of like, the best shoehorn that fits in a purse, or the one you have by the door, or just other tips.
What Band-Aid?
Right. Kind of like when you have, issues with your stump, what kind of Band-Aids have you used before? What sort of lotions work? Like all kinds of things that we have shared with each other over the years that are so important. And I think that's also why you've done a lot of work. And I think both of us have done that in mentoring other folks who join the club, and that was a part of, it's like you lean into other people's rehab. And I want to know if during your rehab, that was part of the process. I think you and I also joined the club at a time when we didn't have like Google or the same kind of resources today, or Instagram and stuff, where now I see so many folks sharing that, and you can, kind of create this, but in the early days, we just didn't have that. So, in your rehab process, how did you plug into community, and how did you have other folks that you met, other amputees early on, that kind of helped guide the way for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I didn't. You were my first community in the prosthetic amputee world that I met. I was really fortunate because I had such a strong sense of family and friends. So, even like right after my surgery, I still had friends like, hey, let's go get a pedicure together. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's go. And then all of a sudden they're like, their face drops and they feel so terrible for suggesting that. It's like, no, I love that, because you just look at me as Jami. You don't look at me as Jami who now lost her legs, and, to get a pedicure, I can just drop off my feet at the nail salon. The humor that goes along with it. But I didn't have that community of knowing another amputee until I went to my first race. And then I started meeting other amputees and realized like, these are intense friendships that I need in my life, because they're going to give me the strength and the perseverance to go back to my own town, even though I'm the only amputee for 100 miles. And I think that's been really important to sustain those friendships and to nurture them over the years.
So true. I am so grateful. Like I know for me, sport is what brought a lot of different people into my life, including you. So even if I didn't have a great race, the benefit, I always won the award for making great friendships and connections along the way. But I know your journey to sport was a little different. And you say you weren't an athlete before you became an amputee. In fact, you tell this funny story about being that kid in high school who would like ditch out a gym class, and smoke a cigarette under the bleachers. So, that's quite a turnaround from that high school Jami to world-class athlete Jami on prosthetic legs now. So tell us how you found sport.
Yeah, a huge turnaround. And I think it's important to acknowledge your past mistakes, especially when going around and speaking to different groups of people, especially young athletes or young children, because when I was younger, I didn't want to sweat. It was like, ooh, that was for boys. Don't make me do that. And then when I lost my legs and I'm in the hospital, ironically, my PT, my first physical therapist, is like, you need to now go exercise. You need to go to the gym and strengthen. And I was like, so offended, how dare these people tell me that? I'm just lost my limbs. I'm 19 years old. I don't even know, am I going to have a boyfriend one day? I had all these insecurities, and but I listened to them and I started going to the gym and I started strengthening my body. And I know that that has what sustained my amputee journey by giving me strength, because it's so important. I mean, we all want to maintain a healthy weight, but as an amputee, it's almost more important, because if you gain a little bit of weight or lose too much weight, your prosthetics don't fit. And that's something else I've learned along the way, is how to adjust with that. But yeah, it all stemmed from my first doctors and my first PTs. And I never thought about running at that time because I just was so insecure about even being athletic. But I was so grateful that it all worked out.
Yeah, me too, because that's how I met you. But I also I want to dig into just this one question here, and then we'll talk about some of the cool sporting things that you've done. And you know, we've called this portion "No Legs," and so you know,
Right.
there are folks on the call who are you know, who have that experience of amputation, and we've all had PTs. But I'm curious about this, like, why did you listen to your PT? I think we've all had PTs and folks who are like, yeah, you should exercise, like, you know, and also it's quite a jump to go from PT to world-class athlete. So I think there's probably something even in between where you just learn to love to move or to find something that was fun. So like, because, you know, we all know we're supposed to listen, but whether we do or not is debatable. But like, how did you find some, you know, why did you listen? And what was your trick to like, to finding that routine?
Great question. It comes down to tough love. So I'm the oldest grandchild of 6 of us. And there was a gap of about 18 years after my brother was born. There was 4 more, but I had this amazing relationship with my grandfather. And he always exercised from the time, I mean, up until his passing. And when I was in the hospital, you know, miserable and I can't believe they're making me exercise and, you know, really drama, my grandfather got in my face and I called him Poppy. And he said, it wouldn't be so hard if you had exercised your whole life. Like, you have to do this. You have to strengthen your body to give yourself the power you need to go back to college, go back to work. Like, there's no pity party around here. And, you know, the crazy thing is he passed before I became this international runner. So, but I had a blood transfusion when I was in the hospital, and he was in his late 70s and they fought him. No, you're too old. We can't use your blood. And he's like, she's my granddaughter. We're the same blood type. And I really believe that his blood has been running through my veins for the last 30 years. And that's really what's given me the strength to persevere and to never give up, because there were many times when I started running, I fell like flat on my face on the track. And I knew I had my Poppy in my back pocket, and I owed it to him and I owed it to myself to really push my body to see what I could do, because I hadn't really used it at that point. And our bodies are these amazing machines that when you nurture it and you take care of it, you can really take it to these endless opportunities that you can't even imagine are possible.
I love that. Wow. I mean, I think we all need a little bit of a tough love, right? To break through sometimes. So
thank you.
Really, really glad.
And I didn't cry. Hey, I talked about Poppy and no tears. That's really good for me, people out there. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back.
Teary, so
I know. Hey, I got you.
Yes, you did. You know, I really want to talk about some of the highlights of your athletic career. You know, we met in track and field. You know, and I think some of those lessons that you learned on, you know, you talked about falling down on the track. But I think that's something you've also just done in life, right? So like for some folks on the call who are like, yeah, I don't want to run on the track, but like, I think we can all relate to just like falling down and having to pick ourselves up. And I think, but you've certainly done that on the track tons of times, and you've had some highlights and lowlights. Let's talk about your highlights on the track. Give us some of your favorite memories as a track and field runner.
I think one of my ultimate favorite memories that I share with my son now, because he runs track and he runs a relay, was with you in Spain. So there was at the last minute, they're like, oh, we need a relay team. And there was 4 women. And so we, you know, and you have to hand the baton and you're running, and it's like, you know, for anyone who doesn't understand, it's intense. And then me being a bilateral, I have 2 running blades. So the balance is a little different. So we ran, you and I think it was Kelly and Lindsay, ran this 100-meter 4x1 relay race. And I had fallen and I dropped the baton. I think I was the 3rd leg. And I didn't know, but instinct showed me, like, from the running legs, it was like bounce and then pop up. I did it. Just that's what I grabbed the baton and kept going. I stayed in my lane. The baton didn't roll out. So we actually came in third. I finished the race. And I don't know if you remember, another team got disqualified and we came in second and got the silver. And it was all just for my instinct. And I just think that's such a cool story because, you know, I fell in the middle of this world race, but I just got up and kept going. And I dealt with the injury later, which was just a little bit of bumps and, you know, some road rash from the track. And it was cool because we got silver. So it was like, yay. So that's a fun story. And just, you know, and being able to come in last, but still be so proud of myself for something that I could have never imagined doing, like showing up at a track meet, especially when I would run against able-bodied people. Like they have this tiny bag with spikes in it. You know, I have this big bag with legs and spikes and pieces and just more equipment.
Tools and Allen wrenches and
right.
And
all
extra
of it.
sun socks and, you know,
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Sweat management. I mean, there's, like,
exactly. So, so there's been a few, and I found through this whole amputee journey, prosthetic journey, is humor, you know, like I used to walk around in the winter. I do still sometimes, you know, run up to 7-Eleven for coffee with no shoes and you're in the mountains, you know, and people are like, they're so confused because it's like, no, I already had frostbite. It's fine. I can walk around barefoot in the snow. But I think humor is so important in every aspect of life.
I so agree. You need to always have humor. You know, I want to talk quickly, one last sports question, and then we're going to switch themes to the next topic. But, you know, you made a jump from track and field to distance running and really became a trailblazer to like break through the marathon barrier, and then also getting to run one of those races that every runner around the world wants to get to run one day. So, you know, you became a record setter in Chicago and then got to do it again in Boston. And I'm curious to know more about your marathon journey, why you felt the need to go from a race that took, you know, less than a minute to one that takes several hours.
Yeah. It really was, you know, it's ironic because our Paralympic athletes in this country just have their trials, the team's been chosen, and it's all about that A standard. It, you know, it takes me back to you and I competing in the Paralympic trials in '99. I didn't make enough of a percentage of the A standard, so I didn't make the team. So when I didn't get to go to the Paralympics in 2000, that's when I switched to distance. I was, I think, 29 at the time. And I was like, okay, let's try this. And, you know, and I liked it. You know, I went from running track, which is, you know, very intense and very quick, to just like la, 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 la. And it was a really cool change. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I jumped to the marathon because I run quite a few 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. And then after the bombing in Boston in 2013, I became quite friendly and mentored a few of the survivors from the event the tragedy in Boston. And at the time, one of my close friends was like, you know, I'm tired of you saying you're the only woman in the world to run a half marathon, which was true of my disability class. And so, you know, again, tough love from true friends that push you to run those marathons. And, you know, someone pushed me to do it. And I'm so glad I did. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever do it again because the training from a half to a full, as you know, Sarah, is very different. And but I am so proud. I did blaze the trail, and I can't wait for all those other bilateral amputee women to be running those marathons and take my record away, because I was always the first. And that's something pretty cool that I get to share, and my children and my grandchildren will get to hold on to for the rest of their own legacies.
Well, and I think, you know, more than the accolades, I'm always proud that I've built this foundation of fitness in my life that's important, and it's great for my mental health, like more than anything. And, you know, those are always the gains that you have. And one of the things that I think is so cool about distance running, first of all, there's not as many events for women in a lot of the international games. So that's Correct. Always been a challenge. And it's part of why I switched to distance running. But the other thing that I think is cool about distance running is that you don't have to wait every 4 years. It happens every year, and it can happen in your backyard, and anybody can do a 5K or a 10K, like in your own backyard. It doesn't have to be some world-class event. It's like I actually just signed up for the Beach to Beacon 10K, which is in Maine, but now it's virtual this year. But you know, I think that's how I've stayed motivated over the years. It's like you just keep signing up. Right. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a marathon. It could just be like a 10K or a 5K, but like the lifelong relationship you built with running will always be there.
Absolutely.
regardless of the finish lines that you've achieved.
Right. And it's always fun to, hold yourself accountable with your friends, sign up for races with others, and then you have to show up and run.
Or for the training process, like you and I
Yeah.
have been account buddies, I call, like
Right.
that friend that keeps you accountable, your buddy that keeps you accountable. Like we've been like, hey, let's meet for a workout. And we go for a run in Huntington Beach along the waterfront. So that is always helpful. Like it's not just about the racing, it's about like the day to day of just getting out for a workout. So,
yes.
And I know, friendships in sport have been important, but especially as you were faced with another challenge and really, the unthinkable happened several years later. And I want you to share with us a little bit about the cancer diagnosis and when that all happened.
Yeah. So, cancer stinks. I got the tissue though, just in case. And, it affects, I think, I have teenagers that are 17 and 15. And when I was their age, if you ever heard cancer, what did people think? You're old, that's really what we all grew up with. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, I think, the amount of children that get cancer is just heartbreaking. So for me, I was diagnosed, it'll be 5 years this coming October, which is kind of crazy because 2016 was the year I ran the Boston Marathon. I got to go to concerts. I mean, I was, living the dream. Life was good. And I filmed this amazing docu-series that August, like I'd done some really fun things. And then I got a diagnosis of breast cancer in October of 2016. And I was told from the beginning, it was no big deal. You won't have to have chemo. You'll have just radiation and it'll be fine. And so I listened to the doctors, but I changed some things in the beginning. And I went through, had surgery, had 33 treatments of radiation, and things were good. And then I had a routine scan the following spring. And in that May, they found a spot in my spine. And unfortunately, the way the Western medical world works is as soon as they find a spot away from from the original tumor site, they basically give you life expectancies and they tell you, the metastasis, which is the definition of the cancer leaving the main tumor and going to other parts in your body, has spread. And I found in 2017 from this diagnosis, it was like at that point, there was one spot and I hadn't even had a PET scan yet, which is a whole body scan to see, if it has gone anywhere else. And this doctor I had is now, giving me these life expectancies. And when my husband and I went through that, we were like, this isn't a death sentence. Like, I don't care if you stage it at stage 2 or stage 4, you should be supporting me. You should be helping me find out multiple ways to keep the cancer quiet. Like, it's not only chemo and radiation. And when I started doing all this research, I realized like there's so many things you can do for your body. And ironically, one is called hyperbaric oxygen chamber. And that's what I did 30 years ago to save my limbs. So after I was found with the frostbite, that was one of the first treatments they did. And by going in the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, it opens up your cells and it creates a higher oxygenated environment. And cancer can't thrive with higher oxygenation. So I've done all this research, and that was why my husband and I started a nonprofit, because we believe that cancer does not have to be a death sentence, even if it's stage 4. There are radical remissions that happen every day, and people go on, the word remission, I find almost offensive, because as a cancer survivor, it's like everyone's waiting for you to make sure those scans are perfect. And unfortunately, the percentages for all types of cancer to come back are higher than normal. They're higher. And so why can't you just stay in remission if the cancer is quiet and you've had good scans? So I've learned to manipulate some of the vocabulary that goes around the cancer world to benefit me. And I've become a mentor to so many other cancer patients because that's my personality. And I'm not going to let this label decide my future. So, we started this charity. It's called Warriors with Hope, because I feel like everyone needs hope and I don't want that taken away. Like, I fired that doctor because I'm not going to let someone take away my hope or my beliefs, because you need that mental game to stay strong as you go through this. And I've had some down times, and having to, share this with my family, well, especially, my children, that's hard, but, everyone has their, and this is the life that we've been given, and you have to, look at your blessings and not count your challenges, but those challenges, I think, create character, integrity, perseverance. I used to say I would never want my legs back, and that's true. I mean, that I don't want, but if someone could take the cancer and make it go away, that would be good too, because I feel like I've done my job. I've learned so much. I can continue to educate and share and guide others when that cancer diagnosis comes in, because I know through your family, you've gone through it. There's just, and on multiple ways and multiple family members. And I just think, unfortunately, it's in all of our lives, but we all need to step back and realize it's this mind, body, soul connection. It's not just about eating straight vegetarian food, or, it's not just about meditating all day long. It's this combination of helping your body, helping this machine heal itself. And I went through chemo. I've done so much, but I think it's important to just be grateful. And that's what I try and do, is wake up with an attitude of gratitude every day.
Yeah, I love, thank you for sharing all of that, because I think so many, I think every family has been touched by cancer. Like I almost like, I can't think of any family that hasn't had anybody in their lives, or any person. We've all been touched by it. And I love the way you have shifted the language, but I also think you're doing that in this idea of shifting mindset. And I think that is so important, right? Is this mindset shift. And I think regardless of whether we're dealing with cancer right now or someone in our lives it's like that shift of mindset. And when we are faced with these super challenging things, we are tested in ways beyond what we thought we were able to rise to. But I really would love if you could share, some of the ways that you've kept yourself going and motivated on those tough days.
Yeah. I think it's important to, wake up, and before you wake up and right before you go to bed, I think those are such peaceful times in life to really step back and find a reason to be grateful. So I've really tried to journal more. I'm not running as much, so I'm walking, which I'm not a big, I'm walking more, which I'm not a,
Okay. Let me see if I can mute. Hang on.
Okay.
I don't know where it's coming from.
Is it me?
It looks muted.
Okay. I think I'm good. Oh yeah, there's Sarah. No, so going back to and something else I've had to adapt to is I've learned to walk, which, we do all the time. And I think that's so important. And, it's just, I'd rather go to the gym and lift weights and go for a run. But right now that's not where my body is. So I think that, just adapting to where your body takes you and where your mind takes you. So that meditation and waking up, being grateful, and just changing some of my workouts to be active has really helped me. Oh, and now I think you're muted.
Sorry for the audio issues. Yeah.
That's okay. We did pretty good with technical stuff so far.
I don't feel good when, the Zoom at least starts off good. I think what I love about you is that you always take action. And so I want to know more about, the changes in life that you made, but I also want to just kind of unpack a little bit about, because I think, to get hit twice with things, like first the no legs, and the moment you heard the diagnosis that you also had to have your mastectomy, tell us how you processed that. Because I think sometimes, it can feel unfair that give me a break. One other thing.
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah, I definitely went through a lot of that, and even with my kids, it's like they've already had enough. And but it's it's life, and we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and I try and focus on the positive. So even though they tell me you don't know what your future is going to hold, nobody does. We could go for a drive to the grocery store, and that semi their brakes could be bad and they're gonna, you know, smash into you. You don't want to think like that, but nobody knows how to predict the future. And I've learned to embrace whatever feelings I have. If I wake up and I am sad and I'm, you know, having a rough day and I'm having that pity party, I'm just going to embrace it. And, you know, I'm grateful that I have a really wonderful soulmate, an amazing husband, that when I do have those down moments, he's going to help me, but he's going to lift me up quick. He's not going to let me stay down there too long. And I think that's really helped a lot. Because, you know, I also know that it's important to embrace all sides. Don't beat yourself up for not being sad enough, and don't beat yourself up for being too sad, because this is my own journey. I think something that's been really hard to embrace for me is letting others help me. I think, Sarah, you would have a hard time with that too, because we're caregivers, we're nurturers, we're mentors, you know, I don't want to put anybody out. And I've learned through a lot of therapy and a lot of mental clarity that when someone wants to help me, and if I don't let them, I'm actually denying them an opportunity of joy and gratitude. And it's so hard to get there. And I'm working on it. And it's really helped me, I feel like, become a better person, because I'm not putting someone out. If they offer something for me, I need to let them do it. And I need to embrace that help. And that's been a struggle, but I'm learning and I'm working on it. So, you know, I think we're all work in projects.
I love that you're giving a chance to this, like for other folks to help you. But I am going to point out that it's fundamentally who you are, right?
Yeah.
Like, so even as we're talking about this, like we just came off of talking about your charity that you started to help others, right? So it's still core to who you are. So I like that you're finding this balance, right? Like that you also
Yes.
need to accept the help. But also I know you're so driven to help others. So I think in many ways, though, purpose can also help us to kind of stay motivated. And so why don't you share a little bit more about the Warriors with Hope, how that's going, how other folks can get involved, how they can support the mission, and what are your plans to keep driving that purpose forward and giving others hope?
Thank you. Yeah. So Warriors with Hope is a very small charity out of Huntington Beach, California. We've been around, this is our 3rd year. So we've had a pretty big event every year, except last year. We have a golf tournament in October, and it's been amazing and incredibly supported by our local community. And in the last 3 years, I think we've helped almost 40 families with their own personal journey. Our mission is very simple. It's, you know, providing education, resources, support in any form to amputees and or cancer survivors. Because I did it backwards, as I said earlier. Usually you get cancer and then you become an amputee. Well, I became an amputee and then I got cancer. So it's like, you know, 2 clubs that, hey, you know, why not join? And, but we've been able to purchase a running prosthetic, because a lot of people don't realize that that running foot, that blade, is not covered by insurance, which is just crazy, because when I learned to run in my late 20s, what it did for me as a young woman, and it gave me such amazing self-esteem and a boost to go back into the able-bodied world as a disabled woman. And so we've been able to support that, or on this crazy cancer journey. I mean, the hyperbaric oxygen chamber treatments, my insurance doesn't pay for that. You know, they pay for some things, but not all of the things. So, and all of those integrative treatments are what's keeping me healthy. I mean, I went through 14 rounds of chemotherapy and lost my hair. It's kind of coming back, but I never got physically sick. Like, food got weird and a few mental things, but I really believe I didn't get extremely ill because I'm constantly getting an IV, or I'm in the chamber. I'm doing so much to stay healthy. And those are opportunities I want to share with other people. So maybe they can't afford some of those treatments. So we've been able to help them in that way. We've just been able to really just guide people with information and financial support. We did a paint night, a virtual paint night. That was really fun. I'm not a big creative painter, and I fully got into it. I got my paintbrush, and, you know, and that was a really great way to bring the community together. So yeah, Warriors with an S with Hope.org is our website. And we don't have any open, we always have our application for assistance open. There's no window, so anyone can go there and you can fill out an application. We've been able to like I say, to help almost every person that's reached out for support, you know, whether it's a little bit or a lot. We've got someone who is an amputee. He actually was a wheelchair. He had to use a wheelchair, and he was done. He was able to get his prosthetic back and get more into walking. And so he donated that wheelchair back, and we were able to donate it to the Challenge Athletes Foundation, and they gave it to one of their women's cycling team members. So it was really cool how that all came back together, and you know, we were able to utilize something that was very specific for an athlete and donate it to another athlete. So that was great.
I love that. I love how it just keeps on going, that ripple of love, you know,
Yeah.
just keeps going. So it was super cool. I
Thank you.
I want to actually ask you one more question. I'm curious to know what's next for you. And I know, like, right now you're a school teacher as well. So I think you're wrapping up, or have you finished the school year? Like, what's happening with that? And then what's next for you, Jami?
Yeah, that's a great question. So because I did decide to do chemotherapy and I hadn't done it before, I started last August. So I did take this whole school year off, which was very emotional to be away from school, but I had to, again, put myself first, because if I'm not healthy, what kind of teacher can I be? And so I took the whole school year off. And from that, I actually had to leave my school, and I'm going to a new school, which can be emotional, but it wound up being amazing. So embrace that change, people. When that door closes, another one's going to open. I promise you. So I'm going back to teach kindergarten in the fall, which I'm super excited about. I had been in upper grade for a few years, so I'm really excited to go back. I have a new team, a new principal, and it's just really, really exciting. I'm going to be running a 5K locally here at an event called Covathlon, July 8th. So I really need to start running. I mean, good thing my body has muscle memory, as you know, Sarah. So I could probably run a 5K in my sleep. But I'm excited for that. I'm excited to go back to work, and I'm just excited for the world to open up. I want to see people. I want to hug people. We're going to do like a meet and greet here in Huntington Beach, probably in August, just to expose some people with information about the charity, promote the golf tournament. October 11th is our golf tournament. We're looking for corporate sponsors, and we always sell out golfers. So if you want to golf, I highly suggest registering. It'll open up, I think, the first week of July. And it's at a country club here. And it's just, so just embracing life, staying positive, and really finding a way to help others as I help myself on this crazy journey we call life.
Jami, I want to thank you so much for sharing part of your story today and having this like Q&A session. I mean, obviously we're friends. I know a lot of it, but it was really, I learned a lot about you actually today, more. And I also needed this for myself too. I'll be honest, in this COVID experience, I think some of us have sort of, at least for me, I've kind of withdrawn a little bit more in the shutdown. And so I kind of feel like I'm getting back out into community. And so this was a great event to kind of kick that off for me just personally, as I'm trying to get, reconnect with folks. So I want to thank you for today. I want to thank the Liner Wand for making this space for community to happen. It's a great product, which I know has changed my life in keeping hygiene, which is so important, but also providing this community space. As I, shared, I've needed it as well as I'm emerging from the world. So I will be, I want to actually now kick it over to Liz, because we are going to do the book giveaway. So I'll hand it over to her, and then we're going to open it up for some Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or just, raise your hand. It's a small intimate group. So, but before that, Liz will announce or
the giveaway.
Tell us about the book giveaway.
Yeah, so we're going to do the two book giveaways. And so we've just put them into the random drawing, and the winner of them is Pam. So if Allie will drop her email below, and if you could send us your address, we will send out a kit and the two books to you. All right, so like Sarah said, yay, Pam. I know everybody can go off mute now if they would like, and we are opening it up to questions. So you can either, say your question out loud or put them in the chat if you'd like, whatever you feel more comfortable with, but definitely kind of use the next couple of minutes to ask any questions
I have a question. I don't know how like this is gonna work, but I'll just say it. So first off, Sarah, thank you so much for moderating, and Jami, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I know that I was talking to another amputee, Footless Joe, and she's a gem and a sweetheart. And you know, the way that she talks about her story, I'm just like, I wondered, and I don't know if this is like mean to ask, but like, do you ever get tired of just like saying it over and over again? Like, are you like, you know, this is kind of what happened, but like, I don't want to keep reliving it? Or are you more so like, you know, I had this happen and I'm okay with sharing it, but does it get tiring, or are you kind of like used to it at this point? I'm curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because that's a real question, and it's all of the above, because I've been saying it for 30 years. So so yes, it's like sometimes I just want to go with it was a shark attack. So let's just leave it at that, you know. And Mike Coots, yeah, he's my best friend. We go surfing all the time, which is totally not true. He's another amputee that really is a victim of a shark attack and became a huge shark advocate. So it's pretty cool. But so I don't really get tired of it. I have fun with it, you know, and I think it's important to educate people, because I think sometimes when you get the stares or the questions that are just not sensitive, it's just because they're naive and they don't understand, and maybe they're just insecure, so they don't know how to handle it. So for me personally, I don't mind. You know, I think I think some people struggle out in public, like, you know, oh my gosh, what happened? You know, why are you like that? You know, and it's like, you know, I don't want to acknowledge their almost, you know, ignorance. It's like, oh, you know, I make it real simple. I had an accident, I lost my legs, and, you know,
Right.
hey, I got shiny purple legs. Aren't they fun? You know, make it simple and silly.
Yeah. And then
But,
one last question. I saw, well, I love the channel that you did your docu-series on, Soul Pancake. I like watch all of their stuff. So was that a fun experience for you to film, or
Yes,
was it,
that
were
was
they sweet? Like, I'm just so curious, because I'm like, they always seem so cool, like in the background, but you never really know how the crew is until you can actually ask someone that's been there. So like, what was your experience? And, or did they, so they had to come to you and do all that and set it all up and
well,
do everything?
but it was two guys that did it, and then they
Okay.
got it to Soul Pancake. So it wasn't directly through Soul Pancake.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so that's how it happened. So that was really cool, and they were really just sweet, and they pushed it, and so it got up the channel. So that
I'm
was
gonna
really
put that link down in the chat, because I think everyone should go watch it. I think it's just
okay. Thank
best.
you.
So
Yeah,
I really liked it. So I just want to let you know.
thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've done some really fun things, so it's cool to have all that out there.
Awesome. Does
Cool.
anybody else have any more questions?
Well, I was just going to actually respond. If anyone has a question, please lean in. But I also was going to respond in as well to the Footless Joe comment. I would definitely recommend having an elevator pitch or an elevator summary of your story that doesn't become emotional too. Because that's the thing that becomes really hard. When you're an amputee, people just see, especially they just see the metal parts or the bionic or that limp in your leg. And it's so amazing that, you know, people start to sometimes just they lose their human, you know, politeness filter, to your point of just like, what happened to you? You know, instead of like,
right,
you know, oh, usually I start with hello, how are you?
right,
Which,
exactly.
you know, like, you know, that's so that needs to just be level set. You're going to find that of all kinds of people. So, you know, that's a discussion for another time. But I think having that elevator pitch where you can talk about what happened to you, but people don't realize that it could be quite traumatic, that like it's a survival thing, and what happened, it was a process. And I don't need to like explain my life and my experience and my pain to you in, you know, but I think if you can like, it will help yourself emotionally if you can just kind of, because you do kind of have to answer, and I think you almost have to lean into it because you are an ambassador and you do need to like
Yeah,
you know, as shitty as that is sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, screw that, I just want to be at the supermarket and get my stuff. I don't want to like you know, have to use this teachable moment, but okay, here we are. So like, but I think if you do have that like little succinct elevator explanation in your pocket that you can do in 30 seconds or a minute less and still kind of keep that smile on your face, like it will just help you, and you still, you know, anyway, so that's my 2 cents on that. But
no, I think that's great. And I think I do that in regards to the amputation side. That's pretty quick. Sometimes when it goes to the cancer place, that gets more emotional, and that sometimes is more difficult, especially because like people don't unless you are really in the cancer world, like you think stage 4, you're going to die tomorrow. because that's what people who are not in the cancer world, that's what we hear on TV. That's what we hear in the media. That's what we hear from the doctors. And I'm trying to reprogram that whole thought. But yeah, I think that's a great idea for amputees, like a quick little snippet, and then you can move on. So you're not being impolite, but you're just like, this is the way it is, and move on. Because yeah, it could be very traumatic for some people. So that was a great question.
Awesome. Well, definitely feel free to reach out if anybody thinks of, any additional questions after this. And this is recorded. So if anyone missed the beginning or wants to listen to the beginning again, it will be up on our website so you guys can watch the beginning again. And I want to thank Sarah and Jami again for jumping on, and Jami, especially you, for sharing your story with all of us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great way to kick off the weekend. So yeah.
Yeah, and happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday, everybody. Yeah. Make sure
Friday.
you get your run in. Do something. I got my walk in earlier.
I know.
Get
I
some
gotta go for my
activity
run
going.
still.
Get
Yeah.
out in the sun, some vitamin D. It's good for you.
Exactly.
Well, thank you guys so much. And Pam, I will be reaching out to you and getting your email, and we'll connect. But to everyone else, this has been awesome. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Have a great
everybody.
weekend.
Bye.